Well, I just came back from the cinema where I witnessed probably one of the greatest movie of Martin Scorsese. He is one of the most iconic, biggest and most influential directors of our lifetime, who is 80 years old but doesn't seem to be retiring any soon and still has something to say in a field of modern cinema. Scorsese is serving one of his strongest cinematic achievements of his career, working with complex themes, charismatic anti-heroes, and perfectly shot drama based on actual events. Why I think this movie is quite special? And what is the main story behind it? Let's take a closer look, as today we are talking without the spoilers about new movie Killers of the Flower Moon. It's clear that Scorsese has realized one of his dream projects, which he has stretched to such a length that you will spend half of the day in the cinema. He is telling a really complex story, a chapter of American history that Americans to this day haven't fully dealt with. The story is full of violence, intrigues, betrayal, but the theme that looms over all these I mentioned above is an unstoppable greed and lust for money and wealth. Around this revolves more or less the whole story, which is intense not only thanks to the captivating cast. Speaking of, the chemistry between the lead actors is incredible, and their time together in front of the camera is a great festival for all fans of the movies. This is an extraordinary concert of two Hollywood veterans who have worked their way up to the pantheon of living legends over the last decades. Leonardo DiCaprio is stealing most of our attention for himself with his brilliant and captivating performance as a character Ernest, who is very easy to hate as he is one of the worst characters Leo has ever played. He is accompanied by the great Robert De Niro, who at the first glance plays a kind old man, but of course there is more than meet the eye. What is definitely worth of mentioning is the fact that alongside these two acting megastars, the actress Lily Gladstone, who plays an Indian woman Molly, is not lost on the screen in the presence of these two legends. Even though the film is long and the atmosphere is calm, as it's not an action blockbuster, I was not bored even for a moment. The film was very satisfying, as I had the feeling that I was watching the high-quality cinematography. If Marvel is theme park and fast food for film junkies, this is raw cinema, slow food for movie enthusiasts who care deeply about cinematography and quality storytelling. Good old days of cinema from Uncle Scorsese. The primary idea of this film is how greed and obsession with money can consume us as human beings, by achieving everything we would like at the expense of others, regardless of what we will do to them. This is the universal feature of our civilization that was valid thousands of years ago and will be probably thousands of years in the future if we will be still around. Thanks to the fact that this topic is timeless, it's important to talk about it, and of course it's also a necessary topic for Americans on whose lands all these atrocities against Indians took place. The main story is about the deaths that took place in the Indian community of Osage tribe after it was discovered that huge deposits of oil were in the ground under their reservation. The first half of the movie was strong. During it we got to know the main actors and got hints of relationships and politics. The tangle of lies and dirt began to unravel after this case was taken over by FBI, for whom it was the first big case they had to solve. This part was a quite boost for the story, thanks to the fact that the white hunters get hunted. Even though the film is 3.5 hours long, Scorsese comes up with the wild and creative ideas, and the pace of the film, made by the 80-year-old director, has more energy and steadiness than many films of his younger colleagues. And here we come to the most frequent criticism of this epic megalomaniac masterpiece, namely its length. 206 minutes is an extreme over which almost everyone raised their eyebrows when it was mentioned how long the film should last. Many people around me commented that this film is at the limit of what can be physically endured in the one session at the cinema. Without a doubt, the length of this movie is really brutal, and usually I am grumpy about the movies which are longer than 2.5 hours, not even more than 3, but in this case I spent the 3.5 hours in the cinema with a great satisfaction, as I felt that I was receiving a great story which I cared about. So for me there weren't weak spots during this movie where I would be bored. It's true that if you feel like you have been in a cinema for a shorter period of time, Scorsese make his magic. But you better be prepared also for the opposite scenario, because although I like the slower pace of the storytelling, it's clear that this may not suit everyone. So, to sum it up, for me the story has a deep and strong meaning, and the camera brings one wonderful shot after another. The music also doesn't stop, and the Indians' melodies resonate for a large part of the screening. Thanks to its complexity, sensitivity and exceptionality, I am convinced that this film will appear in the next year's Oscars and will not leave empty-handed. As for the creative ideas, it must be mentioned that even the end of the film, in which we learn how the characters ended up, was handled in a fresh way, and once again we have to pay a tribute to Scorsese for mastering his craft. This is cinema, goddammit! Also, maybe after watching this story you will be interested in original story and you will read the book on which the movie is based on. When you will finish this film, it's good to make time to let it sink in, because you will most likely take the movie with you from the theater and carry it in your mind for a few days, contemplating about how people could be so cruel and how horrific they could act. So, what do you think about this piece of cinema? Did you like it, or it was too long and complex for you? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, you will probably also like my other videos on this channel, so you can give them a shot. But anyway, thank you for your time and have a great day.